the stormy shores of Azeroth, a silhouette did stand, a brave and stalwart sailor who gave a helping hand. Without fail on every whim, which we did demand, he simply smiled and waved his hand and sent us across the land. Farewell to thee, placeholder, your ship has sailed to sea. We'll tip our hats and pray one day to be as great as thee. Captain P, you'll never know the emptiness inside as we sit ashore on Menethil, waiting for a ride. Time did pass until one day that silhouette did fade. Where once we found placeholder, only scattered winds remain. The stormy sea went silent on that dark and dreary day. But come along, my friends, let's raise a glass up for his name. Farewell to you, placeholder, your ship has sailed to sea. We'll tip our hats and pray one day to be as great as thee. Captain P, you'll never know the emptiness inside as we sit ashore on Menethil, waiting for a ride. So when you find yourself lamenting on that lonely pier, watching as the ships come in and drying off your tears, believe in what he stood for, and I know that he'll survive. Inside our hearts, dear placeholder, will always be alive. Farewell to you, placeholder, your ship has sailed to sea. We'll tip our hats and pray one day to be as great as thee. Oh, Captain P, you'll never know the emptiness inside as we sit ashore on Menethil, waiting for a ride. Oh,
Now, if you didn't know, that was the Lament of Captain Placeholder. A rather, really good rendition of it. It's Placeholder is the very old song in terms of World of Warcraft. Placeholder was actually in the alpha. This was before they had the boat system working, so they just had Placeholder there, and you came up and said, "I want to go to the other land." They're like, "Okay, bye." And then you teleport. Obviously, they got rid of him for version 1.0. But some people still remember him. And that was written by one of those people who, obviously remembers him. And this, what you just heard, was actually a remake of the original. It's actually a really good remake, though. So, yeah, there's that. Or let's see, original credits. I know they're in here somewhere. Elidane was the original writer of that song. This one was sung and performed by Cranius. So, look it up on YouTube if you're interested. Alrighty, so, as you might be able to tell from all the programming behind me, all the code, we're actually going to do some programming today. Yay! It's been a long road getting here. The biggest problem is that we do not have all the source code that we had earlier. So we will be rewriting the project from scratch. So there's that. we're going to start with trying to build up the... okay, so let's discuss what we're doing. We are rebuilding Project Stormwind into a standalone application. The goal is to be able to export it into various formats, and it'll just quick and easy access to all the assets in a variety of different formats. Now, some formats will work for others, and others will not. So, FBX support is probably going to be for M2 files, but you're not going to have it for WMOs or ADTs. Meanwhile, ADTs will support having a height map export function, which means that the height map that's generated by polygons will be exported to a target file, or whatever file format we end up choosing, or if we allow multiples, there's that. But yeah, you'll be able to export as a height map. I'm also wanting to plug in raw height map export data, because that's actually usable by things like Unreal Engine. So that's the goal, is to create a self-contained program that will export and write the files as a variety of different things. We will be supporting Lightwave, and I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure that Maya is also supported almost directly. We're going to write out ACI files. So, there's that. Alright, so that's the first step. Okay, so actually no, that's the goal. The first step is we're going to start building a little bit of an interface just so we can be able to do stuff. Now, I've already started this, and let me show you what I have. As you can see, it's very simple. This is the header for Project Stormwind, and here's all the code. All this does right now is... actually, here, let me show you what it does. I'll start Project Stormwind. Here it is. The alpha is 001. As you can see, there's not much here. In fact, there's nothing here. There's a file. We can go exit, and we can go open. If we go open, we can go to a WoW folder. Let's say spells. And we can, you can see M2 files are listed. BLPs are listed. If we come into the world folder, we can see WMOs are available. And if we come in here, we'll see that ADTs are supported. So let's just select an ADT real quick. And you can see that nothing happened. Well, that's pretty much the limit of what we've done. Here, let me exit. And I'll load up the log. As you can see, this is the log file that we just wrote. Well, it was just written. It said, let's see, it's starting the program, initializing the window, opening the file. This is the selected file name, so the file that came back from the selection. This is the file that we're trying to open. The detected extension is ADT, and so it got that far, and then we closed the program. I actually spent a lot of today just getting this stuff on the left-hand side. The info, debug, the time frame, all of that. Getting it so it writes that out was, something big. I mean, this is using the same log system that I used in the other Project Stormwind. The difference is I actually rewrote it. Almost from, I won't say I rewrote it from scratch, but I did a whole bunch of additional changes and everything. And if we come in here, it basically comes down to write stream. This is the core of it. And then and before that, it's building the stream, the string. And it's going in here saying, okay, insert the debug, the warning, the error, the info, and if we're allowing timestamps, insert the timestamp. Which means that, if I release this log file stuff, you can actually come in here and, when you're starting up the project, you can say, no, we are not using timestamps. And it'll just give you debug, warn, write, and info. But that's only if you use info, debug, warn, or error. There is still the original write, which if we used it, works just the way it did before. Which means, if I went here and just, log file write, instead of having, timestamp info initializing window, it would say just initializing window, like that. The way it looked in the other program. So, that was one, update I did today. And here is the function for open file. Here's the trigger action. This is basically when you go file open, this gets called. And so this is going through going, okay, open the file name. By default, it selects all the WoW files. Ooh, I forgot to add one in here. So, no wonder I wasn't seeing it. WDL. There we go. The WDL is the low resolution version of the landscape. So, I'll just add that on to the end. You notice I added MDX. There technically isn't any MDX files in WoW, but I decided to add it just in case. All the files internally are listed as MDX, so we would have to basically say, okay, instead of MDX, use M2 files. So I figured I'd just add this just as a safety precaution. They're both going to go to the same functionality. Now you'll see here that we also support just images, just models, just terrain, and just the world model objects, or WMOs. So, and that's part of the goal. Is that, now that we have the open file function, it comes down here and it says, okay, is there a file selected? Nope. Okay, bye. All right, so we found the selected file. That's where we get. Is there an extension? Yes. No. Then get the hell out of here. I can't handle files that have no extension. If it does have an extension, though, it opens the file. So it opens the file, it comes up here, finds the extension, and this is where we're at. Right here is where we're going to start doing a bit more code. So, we'll start with a simple extension check. Now, I've already set it all to lower, so this will be a quick thing. We're first going to check, in fact, I'll write it in here. Check to see if this is a supported extension. I can write. I swear I can. So, okay. I need a moment. Didn't get dinner. So, eating a little bit during the stream. I hope you allow me this small something. Homemade sub sandwich. One of the best things in the world. Except, of course, professionally made sub sandwiches. This one's ham and roast beef with cheese. It's really good. I added mayonnaise and mustard. Probably should have added less mayonnaise, but it's still good. Okay, so the goal for open file will be to go through, check the extensions, and then try and then it will open the actual file. It will then go, okay, this says it's this extension. Let's check and make sure it is this extension, this file type. If it is, we'll pass that off to that function's, that file type's, primary function. So, let's, do some pseudocode here. So, if extension, and this will be pseudocode, it's never going to work. If it equals, there we go. Oh, music. We need music. Let me get that going. Cancel. There. So now, in my pseudocode, it's basically saying if the extension is one of those. Actually, no. If the extension is not one of those. Then, return. And actually, we need to put a warning, an error in here. Error. Extension of an unknown type. Is of an unknown type. Alright, so that's the, simple one. Now, obviously we'll have to do a little bit more, work to make sure that, this particular section of code would work, but I know at the moment it doesn't. Okay, so now let's do a switch. Switch extension. Whoa, what the hell? Oh, it just scrolled down. Okay, so we're going to do a switch that makes things a lot easier for us. Case ADT. And let's see, default. Extension is an unknown type. That works. We'll do that as a default case. Actually, I'm going to turn off this comment for right now just to make it faster for us to program. As you can see here, this is saying, I can't handle this. But we're going to ignore that for right now. All right, so case ADT. Check. Yeah, let's do a whole bunch of check files. Actually, yeah, that's actually a better idea. Let's create a check program. So, check file, extension, and file name. If equals false, let's change that to file. Alright, so we'll delete that for right now. Okay, so we have this new check file function we need to get going. So we'll come back here. We'll make that a private check file. QString extension QString file name. There we go. Okay. So, let's see. I can add this down here. What are you complaining about? Expected a statement. Oh. Alright, so void project Stormwind. Alright, I don't know why, but I'm having a sudden case of deja vu. Oh. This needs to be a Boolean, not a... Ah. Hate it when it does that. Alright, so... return false. So no matter what, it's going to say, nope. Alright, so now we have the fun. Okay, so... okay, it's a little cold in here. I've already turned up the heat, so I'm just waiting for it to get caught up. Okay, so... let's see. Q file. Yeah, we'll go file. File name. File. Okay, what are the... okay. Actually, let's just do file. Equals new file. To standard string. C string. Why am I suddenly forgetting how to do a file? Okay, so for the moment, we're going to skip whether or not the extension actually is one of the supported ones. We're just going to, so long as I don't do, all files, they should be okay. They should be limited to what we're going to give them. Now, I promised you music. That's a bit loud. There we go. Okay. Let's set that to shuffle and repeat. Alright, so file fp equals fread or fopen. File name, mode was read binary. All right. To It'd be nice if I could just go to constant. Ooh, 2W car array? No. 2 UTF? 8? No, that's a byte array. 2 upper. Two case folded. Eh. 2 standard string. C string. There we go. So, first thing we did, open the damn thing up. Now, if I'm not mistaken, all files. Oh, I need to install a program. Un momento, por favor. Alright, apps. Where's my... There they are. Oh, no, wait, that's under... Yeah, that's under there. Ah. Yep. All right. Yes, run. All right. No, I don't have it installed. Huh. No, do not launch. Actually, yeah, launch. No, I'll restart later. Jeez. Wait, where'd it go? Ah, there it is. There we are. Alright, and oh, I can never remember the name for this company. Well, it shouldn't be too hard. I mean, I just installed all this stuff. Did it get installed in the other one? Ah, yeah, there it is. Okay. So now I can start it up. Okay, good. And let's make sure. All right. Awesome. Okay. So, MREV. That is something I believe is in every single WMO. Well, not WMO, but every single WoW file. So let's do a quick look. Oh, okay, not on that one. But we don't read that kind. We don't read that kind here. MRev on there. WDL's turn. MRev. Alright, so let's back out. We know ADTs, so let's go to spells. Okay, so BLP2 is an alternative. And let's check with M2s. Ah, MD20s. Okay, we actually do have some differences, so we'll have to program that in. So, let's see if I can remember. Or, alternatively, do some cheating. Let me actually load up a backup. But I should mention this is a backup from years ago. So, the code's going to be severely out of date compared to what you guys have seen me do. Alright, so, let's see. But it should, give us some of the information we need. And I'm loading up code from 2012 or 2014. Yeah, December of 2014. So yeah, in December of 2014, this is what our other WoW projects look like. So there's that. All right, so let me go through here real quick. I want to double check everything. Okay. Yeah, good. All right, so okay, I need to go to a different part of this because I was looking at wow, what the? No. All right, so point ID, image IDs. That's here we are. Okay, so there's file. And let's see, we're going to need the utilities, so let's double check if it's in here. Oh, yeah, there it is. Inline void. Flip CC. This is something we are going to need. So, I will add... I don't know. Should I add this as... I don't need to... No, this should be in a completely separate thing. So, let's create a new item. We'll call it... well, let's just do common. flip for characters. We'll come in here. Now defines will stay the same. And then include common. And as we need it, we will add a common C++ file, at which point we will move that and no longer make it inline. But now that we have included that, and let's see, yeah, we still got the check file, good. And now we can actually come in here and do some stuff like, we could read from the file. So let's make sure that this is rewound. So fseek fp 0 seek set. That way we're just making sure that we're at the very beginning of the thing, because we need to. You don't want some sort of error to come along and it all of a sudden says, okay, well, we're reading, but we're going to read from the middle of the file instead. I mean, that could happen, theoretically. This just makes sure that doesn't. Okay, so fread car string for so let's see at car oh no wait just string. All right, so string element size 1 read 4 from FP. And now flip CC string so if string compare string there we are equals 0, that's a positive value. All right, so actually let's tell it if it doesn't match, if it does not equal 0, so let's see, we want mver and okay, and all right, so mver is one of our big ones. Let's see, it also needs to be MD20. Actually, at this point, it would be 0 and 20. stir F 4 stir F equals stir. I had a feeling it wouldn't be that easy. So 0 to DM. I mean, I'd love to do it the other way around, but oh well. And 2PLB. Actually, let's not flip the string. BLP2, MD20, and Revum. It is Revum, right? Let me check real quick. World WMO Hex. Yep, Revum. RevM. Okay, so if I did this right, it should crash out if it does not have, RevM, MD20, or BLP2. So let's do another error return. File type does not match supported files. And we'll do another one where we probably do a tiny bit. Actually, no, that's more than enough. Let's close that. Because we no longer need it. I mean, that was just to do a quick comparison. Now that we have the string, we don't need it. So, if it does not equal that, and it does not equal that, and it does not equal that, it will return false. Else, it'll be true. It'd be nice if I could reverse this. Actually, I can. Or true. False. There, that makes me feel better. Let's build this and see what happens. Alright. Going the wrong way. Alright. Well, no errors. Let's do a bindings. And as you can see, file is of an unknown type. File is supported. That's what it should say. But still, we're getting an info with that, which means this did not work. Let's see what happens when we actually use a real WoW file. Extension is of an unknown type, but it's still an info. Okay, that tells me that for some reason this is not working. Let's do a debug. String. All right, open. WoW files, spells, M2. Yeah, that would be a problem. Okay, so how does... Oh, okay. Let's see. String 4 equals 0. That's done with everything? Interesting. Oh, still have it open. Ah, we crashed it! Yay! Yeah, we crashed it. Alright, let's take that to 5. Because that's where the crash happened. File open. WoW spells. Abolish magic. There we go. File is supported. Yay! Okay, so what happens when we set this up to do something that is specifically not? Like, okay. Okay, that's not right. Huh. Alright, let's just... Let's just do this. The cuttlefish. Else if... return true. Return true. I mean, yeah, if we look at how this is actually doing it. Alright, it reads it. It sets string 4 to 0. Size it continues. And then, if string compare equals 0, then header information found. And it just, let's make sure that, yep, that's all right. Okay, so maybe this will work. Oh, close. Okay. Yes, refresh. BLP2. File is of an unknown type. Oh. So that might be where that's getting through. Abolish magic. I had to add in a functionality for, previously used directories. Alright. That should do it. Supported. Supported. Unknown type. Okay. Actually, we'll leave that in for right now. Okay, so now we know, at least with this, I could probably go back to this. That just, makes it, more streamlined. And let's do a real quick test of that. We'll just do 2. Unknown type and supported. Awesome. So, now if we enable this, okay, so now that we know that this is a file that we can actually use, so check file, now we can actually come through here and actually start building up our actual functionality. We can determine, okay, is this an ADT file? Is this what this or this or this? And that will actually let us build up upon what we've already done. Ooh, sandwich. So we've already confirmed that this is a file format that we support. Well, short of doing like version numbers and such. Which is not a terrible idea. But that's something we'll deal with later. And that's only really usable for the M2s. So, now we'll do our switch. Switch extension. Case. M2. Ah, I see the problem now. Well, that is an issue. Actually, we might be able to get away with this with 2 standard string. Nope, that's not going to work. Let's just do an if. If extension equals M2 or MDX. You're telling me this crazy pseudocode might work if I just do this? Oh. Alright, let's see how this works. Spells, M. Okay. So yeah, extension is of an unknown type. So it's telling me that, you know, it doesn't recognize that as an actual supported type. Okay. Spells. Well, file is supported. So that actually worked. Let's test to make sure that that it doesn't work with something else. Extension is of an unknown type. Perfect. And even if they rename that to one of the ones that we support, it's not going to match with the file types. So extension is of an unknown type, file is of an unknown type. Very big difference. So that's Project Stormwind so far. The only way that sandwich could be better is if it was toasted. All right. So else if extension equals ADT. Oop. Ah. WDL. I could probably put them into the same function, but I'd rather not. BLP and WMO. Else file type is not yet supported. Is not no, not yet, just not supported. So even if you manage to get through all of the problems up to now, let's say you took, I don't know. Let's say we did not support WMOs just yet. So actually, let's comment that out. Well, that means if I try to open a WMO, it would go file type is not yet supported because it isn't supported by any of these functionalities. And this is where we're actually going to call the code. So this is where we're actually going to go and get M2 file. File name. And that will take us off to a completely different set of functions. And that's actually what we're going to do in a moment here. But let's see. Let's set this to debug. File is m2/mdx. File. Actually, let's go getting file as mdx. There, that's better. As WDL. As BLP. And I'll just comment this out, but WMO. Alright, so now we will actually have a problem when we try to do, WMOs. So that one should have worked. And that one should have worked. And now we'll go over here to WMOs. And that should give us file type not supported. Let's see if it did. File type not supported. Let's see. Getting file is BLP, MDX. So yeah. We're actually doing pretty well on this. There, that'll just make it easier for us to see where the partitions are of stuff. And we're going to add a new line after we finish loading. So it's very different from, the next open file. Now, we could keep digging into this and, start working on support, but I think we need to work on the interface a little bit. So let me, Let me load up where the file is. No, that's where the code is. I want... Yeah, here we are. So now we need to load up the UI. And that will load it up over here. Now the reason I didn't load it right here, just double clicking that, is this. I'm having this bug for right now. That's what I was trying to fix before the stream, but I wasn't able to solve it. So, right now I have to open it from a separate thing. Now, we come in here. Oh, sorry. Come in here, add all sorts of stuff. Right now we just have open. So, we probably need to do something like currently open file. And I would like to actually have a preview window in here. It'd be nice, say being able to load up a model. And, being able to see it in here. I honestly don't know if I can do that. That's definitely something that's going to be a little bit later down the road. But I definitely want to give that a shot. I don't know if I'm going to do that on stream or off stream. I'm going to try off stream. But I definitely want to show you guys it if I can get it to work. I'm sure somebody's going to be asking, why are you doing this? Isn't this a copy of WoW Model Viewer? No. WoW Model Viewer has a very specific job. This has a very different specific job. This isn't, for people to come in and go, oh, well, I can, play and get all this stuff in. No. This is for accessing the assets. This is for going, hey, I like these files. I want to work with them in 3D so I can do stuff even better. That's what this program is for. If you want to use WoW Model Viewer, use WoW Model Viewer. But this is going to be designed for the 3D exporting. It's going to have support for file types and everything that WoW Model Viewer does not. WoW Model Viewer lets you design your own characters. This does not. This just gets you the assets. Now we do need to do some things like about. About. Help. There. So we have help and about. Now, they're not going to do anything for a very long time because we don't need it to. We'll actually have it pop, when we go about, we'll have it pop up a new window, but, we're not worried about that just yet. I don't know why I just added all that right now. There's no reason to. But, it's actually, good to have that in there. We probably also need a configuration. But, actually, let's do a horizontal layout. you gonna let me... There we go. What, I'm not allowed to change this? Ah, there we go. Current file. Label current file. None. Left margin of 5. Layout spacing 1. Okay, 6. 0, 5. 0, 1. Reset that. So there, now we can actually, tell it what the current file is. Oh. Current file name. Label, current file. So yeah, there's probably a better way to do that, but for right now we're just going to do it this way. Alright, so compile. So UI dot all right. All right, so set Label. Nope. UI. Label current file name. There we are. Equals file name. Set text. There we go. Let's build that and see if oh it looks. Oh, better close it. I keep forgetting to close. Why don't you remind me? See, now it has current file equals none. We can do about and help, but it doesn't work. Spells, magic base. And you can see right here, it updated. So now we can see, okay, that's our current file. Okay, so if we happen to run across an unsupported file type after we've set the current file name, we'll just set it back to none. So, unless I, make a couple of changes, we probably can't test that, but yeah, I'm confident. Okay. So, let's add some new functions. Let's start with ADTs. So, ADT.h. And we'll add a C++ for it. Include Project Stormwind. Include ADT. Okay, so we could theoretically just copy and paste a lot of the stuff over. But at the same time, I kind of feel like I want to do it fresh. On the other hand, there's not a whole lot of difference. So, yeah, we could, just copy and paste all of this over. But, let's see. Frankly, copying this would be better. This is whole bunches of stuff that we need. Including new things to put in defines. ADT defines. Project version. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's a simple system. Private. uint32. File version. Public. Include QString. QString. Oh. Oh my. I don't know, would that be under common or defines? I think common? Nah. Actually, yeah. And let's just set that up. All right. Ah, here we are. But looking everywhere. Took me a while to find it. Classes.h. Oh, look. More defines. I guess these could go in defines. See, there we go. That's better. Huh. Or you find Windows, or we find Win32, or defined Win64. We could probably remove that. And now we have slash. Slack and slash. Okay, so where were we? Oh, yes. Q file, or Q string, file name. Well, file name. That's a very important thing, because otherwise we get into the issue of, is it a Cataclysm file or not? Because, these other things are all part of the Cataclysm, build. Alright, read ADT file, Q string, file name. Create definition. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, should this be a void or should it return something? Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We have this class model object. My whole idea was that this is what we have to, it's a base model class that basically we read the data into this, and then we can use that to export to all the functions. The problem the problem I had was that, okay, I got to make it so I can use it with any type of model, animated or not. Here's the other problem: it's got to have submodels, or the support for it. It has to have support for lights, has support for this and that. Basically, this one file format has to support everything that all the other WoW models use. And in an ideal sense, it should also support, displaying just a plain texture. But in reality, it could not do that. We can actually set it up to handle images as a completely separate thing, which actually would probably be a better idea. Now, just because ADT does things a certain way doesn't mean that our model object does. I honestly don't remember if I have some of those files left over. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, there was an old version of WoW Model Viewer. When me and Geronimo were originally talking about it, reworking it, we were thinking of doing it into something called Machinima Producer. And the idea would be it's basically WoW Model Viewer, but it's plugin based. And I think he's still slowly working towards that. But I still have the original versions. And in there, I actually had an object. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to find it. Yes, here we are. Model Viewer Model. That's what I called it. And this is a very simple functionality I did that would basically allow us to have a single model format that everything could come into. And you can see, internal model format. Whatever models we load, they are placed into this model format. I also have a model version number in case we change things. So when people updated their plugins, we can instantly tell people, hey, this plugin's out of date. So if people built their model viewer models, if their plugin used Model Viewer version 1, it would work up until the point where we go, hey, we're up to level 2. That's we've changed enough that it requires an actual version update, and that requires them to go back, make the necessary changes and so forth. That's what that whole thing was about. And I'm actually thinking doing something similar for Project Stormwind would not be a terrible idea. Yeah, I'm half tempted just to copy this code because, as far as I know, it's not existing in the new version of WoW Model Viewer. He actually went off and started doing something completely different. Lost touch with him a while back. I mean, I still have ways of contacting him if I needed it, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get back to this at some point. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Export types. Yeah, this is more of the style he was trying to build things. I was just trying to get certain things, running. He was trying to get it into a specific format. I honestly don't know if this version still works. I mean, it never really worked, but... Last I remember, it actually did pretty well. Oh, this was genius. Same basic concept, except, here we have a whole bunch of booleans. It's something called, exporter can do. And basically, this is, when you build your exporter, we have exporter info and exporter can do. Both of these are essential for creating a model exporter. And you'll notice right here, model viewer model version. So that goes back to over here. It's trying to determine, okay, what model version is this? And then it also comes here and asks for the model exporter header version. So both of these need to match in order for the exporter to go, oh, yeah, I'm totally supported. If one of these changes, then that changes. Yeah, as you can see, I had plans for, being able to support Windows, Mac, Linux, all sorts of stuff. But, has pre-options, basically doesn't have, options that pop up before you do your exporting. Preserve directory doesn't, retain the WoW model path or image path? Can it, and then, images, can it pull out images? Can it handle billboard polygons that always face the camera? I don't know of a lot of programs that can. Games, yes, but not programs. Model groups or geosets. Surfaces, surface anims, luminous surfaces, specular, transparent, double-sided, reflective, blend modes, UV maps, UV animation, which kind of works with surface animation, but a little different. Does it support polygon normals, vertex colors, vertex color animation, bones, bone limits, bone animation, fog color, fog zones, ice. That's still tricky to do. Cameras, camera animation, I could just keep going. Ribbons. That was the one that was always, not a lot of people support. And then I have it, automatically set up to, set them all to false. So if you were to just, default, all these, your exporter would be able to do nothing. And I should probably also put in here, points and polygons. But, if you can't do points and polygons, what the hell are you? Let's take a quick look at this. Textures, surfaces, vertex weights, vertex, polygons, geode sets, and the model itself. Lists of submodels, model names, file name, file path, model source. This was to be used as a, what game is it from kind of source. Let's see, position, rotation, scale, initials at least, A list of surfaces, list of geodes, list of bones, list of textures, and a list of animations. And then right down here it has, detect the game, grab the model data, convert the data, fill out the model's formats data, and finish up. But this was all, stuff I had done, long before, the current version. Yeah, I don't even know if I loaded this up, what would happen. Would it work? Would it not? I have no idea. It's tempting. I'll tell you that much. But, yeah, so there's that. So yeah, having a unified model class that we can dump everything into would definitely make things easier. Oh, this is Project Stormwind, the remastered version that's, basically, from scratch. Project Stormwind is, in essence going to be a way to export World of Warcraft into any 3D software of your choice. That's the goal. This is the standalone version, which, right now all it does is, we can just open it up and, choose a file, and it will tell us whether or not we can use it. So if we go here, apparently we can use this one. That's all we can do right now. We need to figure out, certain things about it, see if we can't load the data. We could, be working on ADTs, we could be working on all sorts of stuff. But right now I'm trying to figure out what's the best method to do this in. Obviously, I can call the read ADT file, and it will open up, and we can have it, we can have it read and open up, read all the data into memory. But the question is, what are we doing with it in memory? Do we just read it, or do we read it into a file format that we can use pretty much anywhere or anyhow? And then, eventually we will add the functionality to export that data. But reading it in is definitely a first step. I'm also considering, not only does it read in, and so not only does it show up that, but actually having an OpenGL window here where you can, look at it. So I can rotate it all about and go, oh, it's that way, and it looks like that. Okay. But that's our current thought. I just need to figure out how to do all that. I've never dealt with OpenGL or 3D in my own separate program window. But if I could do that, and that would actually make things a lot easier in many ways. And then when we're all done, we go File, Export, and we can export it to any of the various file formats we need. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a better version of this right now, a functional version for Lightwave. But it's on this hard drive, and this hard drive does not work right now. I need to call the people about it, but it's just been one thing after another, so I haven't had a chance to call them. So let's see. Okay, if we have a single model format and we set that to a global, that might work. On the other hand, we could do something like a current. We did that in the Lightwave functions, where we could where the Lightwave version, where we actually had a global of each individual file format, and we could just go, okay, global this, and read all that. So maybe that's a method to do. I'd like to do just one global object. Yeah, it's sad about that hard drive, but what's worse is that it has a twin brother. I gotta get those dealt with. That's the problem when you connect all your hard drives and your system decides to fry itself. I'm just glad that my current big drive didn't get fried, and my C drive was, well, it's an SSD. It handled itself pretty well. I just had to reinstall Windows in order to make it work. And I might have to do that again. Hopefully my new motherboard will show up at some point, but they won't tell me when. Okay, so... You know what? I'm going to read up on 3D. Because that just kind of makes sense to me at the moment. So let's go QT3D. There we are. For near real-time simulation. Oh, Windows 3D, yay. Support, yeah. Canvas 3D. Yeah, no. Ooh, 3D examples? Big model. Basic shapes example. Ah, cool. Let's take a quick look at here. Ah, thank you for sharing. Alright, so that's a lot of stuff to add. Okay. Wow. Big scene. Simples. There we are. That's still a lot. But it's probably what we need. Big scene. Huh. Deferred renderer example. Dynamic scene. Box entity. Ah, there we go. Wolfen QT. That is actually kind of interesting looking. QT library for 2D, 3D game development. Neat. Ah, 3D asset viewer. I don't know why that's labeled as QT. Okay. Let's close all of these other ones because, you know, they're helpful, but it's not like we can't find them again. I have no idea what the difference between QML the QML is. It's a lot less in the C code. But then there's the QML, and I have no idea what QML is for. Or how to... Oh... Demonstrating using... Okay. Oh. Hmm. Interesting. Playground. Ah, okay. I'm assuming ASIMP means asset importer. Yeah, scene loader, source. Materials. So I'm definitely going to have to go digging a lot more with this before I can, make a decision on all this. So, yeah, I mean, it's obvious that Qt3D is, the method to go. Huh. Yeah, that's Maya. I'm just not entirely sure how I'll be able to do this. Again, I've never done this before. Ha. Ooh, this might actually, give me some information. Hello, GL. Huh. Okay, so... Qt3D 2.0. Five 5.5 recommended. 5.6 planning. Now, see, OpenGL would not be a terrible thought for if we want to do a 3D window. Yeah, it's always terrible when you're just like, I gotta read more before I can do too much. And the more I'm looking at it, the more it's looking like I want to, bypass all this and just go straight to OpenGL. Because it's like they didn't quite add everything they wanted. Or everything they should have. Let's skip over to this. Alright, so search 3D. Canvas 3D Module 5.5. Uses OpenGL or OpenGL ES2 for rendering. Qt Quick 2 support. Lit and textured cube. Canvas 3D examples, always good. Lit and textured cube example. Import JavaScript as GL code. Yeah, there's that. Cube index vertex buffer. Where did that come from? I have no idea. One Qt. Oh. I'm not sure, but I think my headset just said that you're running out of power. That doesn't quite make sense, though, because I charged it. On the other hand, it has been sitting for a little bit. Okay, I have no clue what I'm looking at anymore. Yeah, OpenGL, just one of those things that makes me go, ah. So, yeah, we're going to dig into this later. I'm tired of trying to do that. So, let's bypass that for now. And, yeah. Build our ATD anyways. New, let's see, map tile, ADT equals new map tile, file name. So now we come back over here, and let's see. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. That's the one I want. Map tile, file name, QString, file name. Actually, let's just do file name, lowercase. File name equals file name. Okay. Actually, no. Yeah. There. That's better. Okay, so now we want actually huh. All right, so we have that. So now we need to start doing some work on this. Okay, so actually, I don't know. Maybe I should put this up here. I need to check this a little bit. Okay. There we go. Okay, my headset is really beeping at me now. So, give me a second. Okay, there. I'll plug that in later. Now let me turn down the volume so it doesn't blast your ears, but you can still hear it. There. I think that's good, because I can hear it. I don't know if it's too loud for you guys, though. So. Oh, well. How does mine actually find that, though? That's build. Ah, here we are. Okay, so it does that through that system. Alrighty. Now I definitely need to do stuff there, but and we're going to need to do a bunch of stuff here. Now we've already tested that this is an ADP file. Now we probably need to go through there and do a test to make sure that it's a supported ADT file. So, let's see. Scroll all the way down. Alright, so FP equals F open file name read binary. I think that's what I need. Yes, perfect. Oh, toString. Alrighty. So now that we've opened it, we can start reading some data. Actually, we need all that anyways, but we need it up here too. Alright, so let's see. File is not a valid WoW file. Okay, copy that, paste. Oh, always got to do that at the end of errors. Maybe I should make that into the logger itself. Nah. Actually, yeah. So, format, append, okay, fine. It is that, right? Yeah. Okay, let's see if this worked. If so, all the errors will be doubled. Okay, so that's an error. And world, calendar, action veil, passive doodads. And I totally went to the wrong direction. World maps. All right. Hey, we have a double error. Awesome. Okay, so we can now remove any control N's from errors. So that's a nice little feature I just added. And that saves us a lot of coding. Huh. Saves us 2 characters per line, per error. Okay, I don't see any others on this page. That's info. That's that. Okay. Yep, we're good. So now we can actually see that, it's not a valid WoW file. Is not a valid ADT file. Now, I'm not sure of anything else that has an M header. There probably is some. But, alright, where is... Okay, so file's not a valid ADT file if M header, if not M header, or file size equals 0. Okay, so next okay, what? Oh, okay. There. So, what I'm going to do now, temporarily, I'm going to copy the file version into size, and then set file version to 0. This means that file version will be 0 for every model, except if size equals 18, then file version equals 18. So, that gives us a supported version. So, if file version equals 0, and we know it's equals 0, otherwise it's 18, then we can just do this. The log file error not of that file version not supported, detected version equals 0. There, that bypasses that. That just felt like too many lines for this one thing. Okay, so if we happen to run into a file version that's not, supported, which means, more than likely they've updated the version number finally, which they have not. They didn't even do in Cataclysm. Cataclysm, they. Yeah. Look, checks the file version. From vanilla to Kata, it's always been 18. Not even Cataclysm's drastic changes changed the file. Changed the version, file version. Now, I'm pretty certain, and we're going to double check this in a second, that ADTs have been, let's see, 18 basically forever, and will be for Legion. Yeah. Oh, Legion adds LODs to ADT files. So yeah, there's that. I don't really have one that doesn't have that, but I'm assuming if somebody wrote an ADT file that had a different version, that's where we cut out. Okay, so at this point, I think it's safe to say we're going to read the ADT file. So, log file, info, there we go. Okay, so now we have the section where we can actually read ADT information into memory. So first thing we need to do is change it back to where the file version number is, because that information actually goes into the ADT file. I forget why, but it does. Okay. so let's come back here. Let's do this. Yeah. Okay. Time t times start equals time. Now, include time. C time? Huh. I forget how I did this. Oh. There we go. Time start. Time end. I think that's how I do it. I don't quite remember, even though I did it just moments earlier in a different file, in a different time. Ah, okay. Alright, so log file, info, read ADT file successfully in seconds. So now this will actually tell us how many seconds it took to read the file in the memory. When I was doing testing with this in Lightwave, this took literally no time at all. I mean, on the biggest models I ever tried it with, and this was WMOs, it took maybe 2 seconds to read the data. As it stands right now, it's not going to, take too long at all. So, the building of the data, however, that took a while. Okay. Yeah, I'll make that debug. That works for me. Okay, just doing some quick reading here. Okay, so and we're gonna cut. I'm doing some cut and pasting right now because that makes it easier in some ways. Yeah, we'll cut all that out for right now, and we're gonna add this log file debug. Actually, no, that's info. Okay. And the next section is just cut and paste, literally. Okay, so let's go over real quick, what this is. Actually, no, let's make that info. Okay, so first thing we do is, it goes through the entire file. It's saying, okay, we're going to check the ADT type. It goes through, it first says end of file. If it's not the end of file, then do this. Read 4 bytes of data. Find the size, and then, if size equals 0, continue. Next, set positions. The next position is this plus the size. Look for MCIN. This is a very specific file name. If it finds it, break. That means stop the while loop. That will take us straight down here. Otherwise, check for the end of file. If it's the end of file, true. Okay, end there. Otherwise, go to the next section and start over. So basically, there are 2 ways this little code right here is going to end. The first is if it reaches the end of the file. The second is if it finds the MCIN section. What MCIN does is it's actually a item that is only in the original versions of the ADT file. Basically, in Cataclysm, they broke up how all the files work. Originally, there was one file to rule them all. This was used in, Vanilla, Burning Crusade, and, Wrath of the Lich King. In Cataclysm, and starting there, they broke it up into several different files. You had, 2 files for textures, 2 files for objects, and the original file, which basically housed only a handful of things. Actually, I don't think I have anything for that. I can't show it to you because I don't have that set up. Anyways, if reading this big file, you found the MCIN, which, if I remember correctly, is the index. Let me take a quick look. At any rate, yeah. Actually, here, this will show you. Yeah, this is a good example. Split files. This section only applies to versions greater than or equal to Cataclysm. Beginning with Cataclysms, ADTs are split into separate files. ADT, the root file, text number for textures, and object numbers for objects, with the decimal point being 0 or 1. Chunks are distributed all over the files. To load a map, the client loads a set of 3 and treats them as 1. So basically, you load all 3 files, and it treats it as the same amount of data as, if we had just read that single thing. While the distribution schema appears to be quite fixed, the client does not keep the semantics of which file is which and parses them all the same. The main difference, contents-wise, is MCIN being gone and MCNK, or mchunk, in textures and object files not having the header as it has in the root files. So, and in Legion added a LOD chunk file as another type. They are used to increase draw distance, this time including low-quality versions of liquids and geometry as well. In the end, root LOD bans. So that's actually something we'll have to add support for when I finally get a copy of Legion. MCIN, this section applies only to versions less than or greater than Wrath. No longer possible due to split files. If we look at it, absolute offset, size of the M chunk, this is referring to, those two are always 0, only set in client. Basically, it's saying, okay, here's this bunch. Where's all that? It goes way off to the offset over that way. Oh, okay. So I need to go to that offset in order to get the data I want. Cool. Well, we don't need that anymore. So basically, that was deleted. So that brings us back to over here. If we find it, then that means that this is a 1, 2, or 3. And we have a function there, read chunks 1, 2, 3. That is something I'll be adding in a bit. But, that makes that simple. Now, we come down here to, if we do not find that, then it's a Cataclysm type. So now we go through here, and we're going to let's see. Yep. Looks like we got some error messages here. Some big ones. Alright, so info. That needs to be text. Why do I have 2 text zeros? That should be text 1. I found it. No problem. I think this should be a warning. Rather than an error. And I'm going to at least temporarily to standard string, C string. Oh, wait. Q string. To standard string. There we go. So yeah, we'll do those as warnings because, you know, while they are important, they're not completely necessary. Okay. So now, map tile. Okay, I need to add the read chunks. And paste that there. Read chunks 4. All right. All right. Oh, wow. It's already that time. All right. Yeah. We have fun when we're doing programming. Yeah, time just goes away from us. Okay, so we've gotten, I'm going to say, decently far. I mean, you know, we're basically filling out code that we've already completed, and we're going to have to come back here when I get my code off my hard drive. But you know, hard drive. Ooh, green screen through the hard drive. Yeah. Yeah, we'll come back to ADTs and do a bunch of cleanup once we get the data off the drives. We're also going to be able to touch on everything else. We could, however, start on M2 support. That was something we never did with Lightwave, but with the Lightwave version of Project Stormwind. But that's something to look at. We could probably do that pretty well and easily. All right, so that's it for tonight. As always, you can donate up here. You can follow me on all the social medias listed on the next page. You can watch me live on all the streams listed about here on the next page. Follow me on Twitter. I let you know what's going on, and I try to give you advance notice of when we're going to stream. Let's see. Anything else? Nope. Donate, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if we will pick this up or if we'll... well, tomorrow's my day off, so I get to rest. If I feel up to it, I will stream. Monday, I think we're going to try and continue our plunge through Warcraft. Orcs and Humans. So, there'll be that. I will be working on this while you guys are away. Well, while I'm not doing stuff. I'm going to try and get the 3D system installed. No guarantees, no promises. That's something I'm going to work on. I would love it if I could, read this data and then just plop it into, whatever, in order to make it work in 3D. But I got to see what that is first and see if I can't get all the chunks for the ADTs to be read. We will also be working on building an exporter. I'm going to try and get an object, exporter up and functional. And if not, I will scrap that and just build a Lightwave exporter because that's a lot easier for me. I could just, write directly to a Lightwave object file. I actually have code for that. Hell, that's how I did it in the original WoW Model Viewer. Yeah, if you were ever a fan of WoW Model Viewer 7.0.4 or 5, the Lightwave exporter from that, I wrote that. I have the code for it. I can just plop it in this, and we'll have something that we can test with. So, all right. Thanks for joining me today. I will see you Monday, if not tomorrow. All right. Have fun. Bye.